Hi, welcome. If you're on a journey of doing self-development work or on a healing journey or a journey of tethering back to your soul, which is what I love to call it, then you are in the right space. My name is Shiana. I initially started sharing my process and some of my work on Instagram, but as you know, with Instagram, there's only a certain time frame that you can post for your videos, and I felt like I had to dice my words and couldn't show up authentically. So I switched over to YouTube because I wanted to make long format videos to be able to fully share my process on here, and through that journey be able to serve another soul or another human who is also on this journey and looking for community. So how did I get into the space of doing self-development work or going on this healing journey? So I think it was when I was 20 or 21, I went through two traumatic experiences back to back. And I was in the most toxic relationship of my life at the time. And now in hindsight, I look back and I was like, oh my God, that was a cry for help. That was definitely a cry for help. But at the time, I was not surrounded by people that were talking about therapy or were even in therapy. And therapy wasn't widely spoken about as it is now. I remember one of my really good friends at the time, who is now my best friend, she was really pushing and advocating that I go into therapy. And I remember I was in art school, working part-time, paying my way through school, and I decided to go seek counseling at my university because it was offered for free. And I remember going into that first session and sharing my experience. And I remember the therapist had turned red and she emotionally reacted, and I shut down. I pulled back and I didn't feel safe going back. And fast forward, 2020 came, a global pandemic hit. The health crisis went through the roof. And at the time, I experienced my parent go through psychosis. So if you're not familiar with psychosis, there's different spectrums to it. But with my mother, it was my mother who went into psychosis. She lost grasp of what was real and what was her imagination. And it was extremely painful, and it was extremely scary to witness at the time. I remember feeling so alone, and I was so scared because I didn't know if I would experience my mother the same way again. And she is doing so much better now. You know, sometimes the things that happen for us are in our best interest, but in that moment and in that time when we're going through it, we can't see it, right? Because we're in the thick of it and we think life is happening to us, but truly life is happening for us. You'll see that the universe, or if you're religious, God, I'm spiritual, so I like to refer to the universe, but you'll see that the universe often presents you with opportunities to allow you to up level, to allow you to step into the person that you're meant to become, right? And that's what this journey has truly taught me. And anytime I'm going through something, you know, sometimes we can fall into the trap of like, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm such a good person. How could this happen to me? You know, but how I see it now, and something that my mentor grilled into me over this last year, is that life is always happening for you. And so at the time, it was extremely eye-opening for me to witness my mother go through that, and especially another woman go through that. And, you know, we see women often put their well-being on the back burner, right? Especially mothers. And for me, it was interesting because I realized at that point that, you know, most of us, we learn our standards and our boundaries through our family of origin. The standards and boundaries I had held for myself for so long were things that I had learned in my home environment. And sometimes we move through life without stopping and questioning, does this serve me, right? Does this serve who I am today? Will this serve Shiana in the next 5 to 10 years, right? What does Shiana have to do now? Who does she have to become now? What are the actions she has to take now to align with her higher timeline? And I'll make another video on accessing your higher timelines, but this video is going to be more about just my journey and how I got into doing healing work. Witnessing my mother and helping her navigate her experience was something that I truly, look back now and I don't take for granted at all. You know, it was something that I needed to go through. It was part of my journey. And at the time, I was married and I was so unhappy with myself. I was so unhappy in my marriage. And truly the common denominator was me, right? And the work that I was not willing to do on myself, the parts of myself that I was not willing to see. And so at the time we found a psychotherapist for my mother because at that point, you know, she really, really needed to seek therapy. And what I find with mental health issues is usually the signs and the symptoms are there beforehand, right? They show up much earlier on. But I think for us as humans, it's so hard for us to see it and to accept it and to seek external help. And sometimes they progress and then it comes to a point where you are forced to seek professional help, right? And that is not the point that we want to get to in life. We want to be able to work on our emotional and mental well-being when things show up as they are, where we are in our lives, because that is more empowering for us. That will help us in the long run than waiting until things worsen. So we had found a psychotherapist for my mom at the time, and she was only able to help my mom through a few sessions. And then she referred my mom to, I think it was a psychologist or psychiatrist. But I really connected with that therapist. I had a few phone calls with her prior. And she was just so familiar with like what was happening in my family dynamic. And I trusted her. I felt like I could open up to her. So I thought it was time for me to start therapy. And so I went in for a few sessions and I remember thinking to myself, this is ironic because my entire life I was told, don't tell strangers your problems. Don't share things that are happening in private externally with people. There was this shame surrounding it. There was this stigma of like seeking help and actually talking about your feelings with another human, right? And with therapy, the irony is that that person, that therapist, that clinician is a stranger to you until you're able to build that bond, you're able to build that trust, until you're able to really get vulnerable, right? But it is extremely worth it if you can go through that process. I went for a few sessions, and usually with therapy, what you'll find is that things get worse before they get better. And so I was just overwhelmed in the beginning. It was overpowering to face things about yourself that you haven't for a very long time. And so I stopped going after 3 sessions. I was like, I'm done. This is not for me. And then I just had a moment where I was like, you know, Shiana, you can throw in the towel and you can keep continuing on and chugging on with your life the way that you are, or you can take a leap of faith and see what's on the other side. And witnessing my mom really allowed me to go internally and ask myself questions such as, how am I making decisions today that impact Shiana 5, 10, 15 years from now? How am I not honoring myself? What decisions am I making today that do not serve me? What kind of relationships do I hold in my life that no longer serve me? How am I not able to show up in my power, right? All these questions that were just kind of on my mind. And so I decided to go back into therapy. And it was probably one of the best decisions that I made for myself because I was truly able to build such a special connection, such a special bond with my therapist, and really be able to take off my masks and my armor that I have put on over the years and really allow another soul and another human to walk me and help me through this journey of life. And so I was in therapy for 4 years. When I initially started, I went every week, and then I switched to going every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and then it was every month for 4 years. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, I want more. I want more. You know, I want to expand more. I want to grow more into who I'm meant to be. And so I was looking for something where I could work with someone in a more intimate capacity and on a more frequent basis to be able to really work through my traumas and my core wounds. And so I was manifesting someone, another woman that I could work with in this capacity. And I wasn't in any rush, but it was through my divorce. So now I'm divorced. But when I was going through my divorce, I came across my mentor, who is Dr. Shyamala Kiru. And she was so magnetic, and a lot of her work really resonated with me. And so I was like, this is the woman I want to work with. And so I have been now working with her for over a year, and I can't tell you how much our work has truly changed my life. And it's a new way of seeing things. It's a new way of breathing. It's a new way of living and not just existing through life, you know? All of this is to really share with you that if you are on this journey, or if you are just getting started, or if you are knee deep, but you really are looking for a community of other women who are on this journey, who are walking this path of life, and who you feel that you want to connect with, this video is for you, okay? I truly wish that there was more content like this when I was going through my journey earlier on. Now I see more people on this journey talking about their process, their thoughts, their knowledge. And you see who they are today, but you don't really see a lot of the background work. You don't really see how they got to where they did. And so for me, documenting this journey is really important for me. First and foremost, I am very much human. I am very much flawed. My goal in life is not to move through perfectly, but to move through with integrity, right? With intentionality, with love, right? I truly believe at the core of who we are as humans is love. That's the essence of who we are. All of this work is to truly lead with love and to inspire another human to lead with love, to lean into who they are, right? To truly lean into who they are. So if this video resonated with you, and if you would love to see more content, then please feel free to share in the comments what you would like me to share more about. Please feel free to introduce yourself, and feel free to share this video with another human that you think this would resonate with. But thank you so much for joining in and watching my video, and I will catch you next time.